Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 59. Today, I'm sitting down with Zimmerman student Jessica Alderton. Jessica is here to talk to us about her experience with transforming her business with Pinterest. Listen, I can tell you about how Pinterest has worked for me until I'm blue in the face, but it'll mean more if it comes from someone like you, a creative, small business owner, floral designer, student, and mom. Jessica is here to do just that. Before taking my program, The Power of Pinning, Jessica was like a lot of you. You know how to use Pinterest to get inspiration for your work, but you're not sure how or why you'd use Pinterest to be the creator of that inspiration. Because when you create the pins, you're actually creating business. Let's show you the behind the scenes of a Power of Pinning success story. All right, you ready? Let's do it.
Welcome to the Zimmerman Podcast with your host, CEO, wedding professional, educator, and mom, Jessica Zimmerman. In just 2 years, Jessica went from facing bankruptcy to taking home a six-figure salary. She turned a business-saving $100,000 loan into a $1 million empire. As a creative entrepreneur, a healthy work-life balance seems just as unattainable as a six-figure income. But Jessica Zimmerman is here to show you it's possible. With the right tools and insider tips and some hard work, your craziest dreams can become your daily routine. If you set some boundaries and commit to healthy changes, you can create a business and a life you love. So let's make your business work for you.
Jessica, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be great. So you are a floral designer and event stylist with an incredible business you've grown for the past 7 years. Can you tell us a little bit about your story of owning your own business and what your journey of being a Zimmerman student has looked like?
Well, I sort of fell into the job. I was doing accounting of all things, and a girlfriend of mine owned her own floral business and asked for some help on the weekends, which, I just adored. I just sort of realized, what am I doing? Why am I sitting at a desk, punching numbers when I could be playing with flowers and creating beautiful events? So she decided that it wasn't for her anymore, and sort of asked if I wanted to take it over. And instead of just doing the flowers, I decided I wanted to have complete control of weddings to make sure that everything was cohesive. So we sort of rebranded it and, rejigged the whole thing. And then 2 years ago, I think something popped up maybe on my social media, the business behind the blooms. And I'd seen your videos and just loved the honesty and it just sounded perfect. So I signed up for that, and that had a profound effect on my business. It doubled my income. It gave me the confidence to sort of really sell myself. So then when I saw the power of pinning, and Pinterest was definitely a platform that I hadn't really put much effort into. I was just using it as reference for myself to create mood boards. I, didn't think of it as something to get clients through. So yeah, I jumped at the chance when I saw the course.
Oh, I love that. I love everything about that. That's such a fun story. I'll never forget when I wrote Business Behind the Blooms. I knew that worked for me, but I wasn't sure, if it would work for others. And it really was just something that I did, to kind of utilize a slow season. It was just, January, February, March are always slow for me in the wedding world. And so I thought, yeah, we'll just do this. And it's always amazing. Every time I still get overwhelmed with excitement when I hear stories like what you said, that it's doubled your income, because I knew it worked for me, but I just love hearing that it works for other people. Had you taken programs before? Was this your first program?
I'd done a couple of little courses that were sort of YouTube tutorials and things like that. But it was a big leap to obviously invest money into a course. But after watching a couple of your free episodes that you'd put up, and then just the reviews were amazing. Yeah, I thought, and I think it was on sale at the time too, which helped. So yeah, I jumped at the chance. But no, I hadn't sort of done any professional schooling before that.
Okay, good. I had never taken a course either before I wrote it. And so it's interesting, I think, that the people who do take it, one of the things they really appreciate about it isn't this, here's how to do this and here's how to do this, but it's really just written almost like a business memoir. It's like, here's what I did and here's why it worked and here's what didn't work. And I think that that's why the business behind the blooms has been successful, is it's because people can see themselves in it and they don't feel like someone's telling them what to do. It's more of a sharing, and you can kind of take from it. Not to say it isn't full of value and good content, but I think, wouldn't you say? I mean, I feel that way. I feel like people, the approach is different.
I think the approach is one of the big things, because it makes you put more trust in yourself when you can see that someone else has had the same sort of struggles, and that, with a little bit of confidence, they were able to, really push themselves with the clients and with their proposals and know their worth. I think that's a lot what I took from it.
Yeah, this is why the power of pinning, the program that we're going to talk about today, that's why this was honestly a hard thing for me, because I had all these bloomers. For those of you listening, that's what I call students who go through the business behind the blooms. I had all these bloomers reaching out saying, how are you getting 2 million views on Pinterest? How are you getting clients from Pinterest? How are you getting wedding clients from Pinterest? How are you doing that? And to be honest, I didn't know the answer to that, because I hired someone to do that. I really, as quickly as I can, as soon as I get money, I try to fill another role, right? I try to fill another position, because I kind of come from a place of, the more strengths I have on a team, the more growth my business can have. And so I remember I found this amazing Pinterest manager, and her name was Catherine. We've had Catherine on the podcast before. You can go back and you can listen to some of those episodes, Catherine Morehouse. And I had hired her, and she said, I remember at the time it was going to cost me, $1,000 a month. And she said I wasn't going to see any results for 7 months. And I thought, oh gosh, that's a risk, right? But I also knew that I really needed to get my Pinterest game going. And I knew it just wasn't my strength. And so when I had all these bloomers asking me, I thought, gosh, I don't know. And then people started asking me if I would do a program about Pinterest. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to do that the way I did Business Behind the Blooms, because Business Behind the Blooms is all stuff I figured out on my own, and I learned on my own. And so to share that was very organic. And I thought, well, the only way I can really honestly and organically share this is to basically share Catherine. And so I was concerned about how that might come across, to you and to Bloomer students, because I know y'all were so used to my voice. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to try it out and we're going to see, because they're asking for it. And so I asked Catherine if she would be involved. And the welcome module is me going, hi, let me introduce you to Catherine, and she's going to take it from here. And I was very pleased to know that, I think because I trusted Catherine so much and I was really involved in the editing process. When she would send things to me, I said, Catherine, listen, they don't need to know all the hows and the whys. They just need to know what to do. Like, make it as simple as possible. It's like making a cake. I don't need to know why the flour, it needs to be self-rising versus all-purpose or whatever. I don't need the science behind it. Just tell me what I need, And I said, this is how this has got to be. We have to uncomplicate it. So how did you feel when you first entered the program?
I loved it. I love that you introduced it, and you sort of introduced Catherine. And then she was just like another you. She was so easy to listen to. You connected with her straight away. And yeah, it was super simple. Like the first couple of steps, it was just nice to sort of get them done and realize it really wasn't as hard as I suppose I thought it was going to be. I think sometimes when you're doing things on the web, it's, like you said, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo.
It really is. It can be so confusing. And I had taken a Pinterest course before I hired Catherine. And I got through module 1 and thought, no, this is too much. I'm so overwhelmed. It's so complicated. And I said that we have got to make this to where it is the simplest thing to follow, but it also gets a lot of results. So do you remember the first time you learned that you could be using Pinterest as a business tool and not just for inspiration? And did it take some time before you really believed that you could get real results using Pinterest?
It did, just because I suppose Pinterest is such a worldwide tool, I suppose I was like, well, how is anyone in my, small town going to find me? I'm not interested in brides from, other countries and things like that yet. So that was a bit, I suppose, where I was sort of a bit unsure of. But I think the first time I had a bride come to me and I asked them to share their Pinterest boards with me when I first connect with them. And she shared her board with me. And I think there was like 6 or 7 images from my Pinterest on her board. And I was like, wow, like that's the first time that's happened. And that was since I'd done the course. And I was like, wow, they're obviously the people in my town getting my pins.
Yes. Yes. Which I think is a big misconception that a lot of people have is they think you can't target people locally or that people are only pinning images for inspiration, but they're not seeing that through to actually hiring someone. And man, that just isn't true. I mean, you and I both know from experience that it actually can lead to sales. Why do you think you found it hard to shift your first impression about Pinterest? That it was just a place to get inspiration images to now knowing you can actually get clients?
I suppose because I was using it for that. I was using it for inspiration images, and I wasn't seeing a lot of work from people in my area on Pinterest. I was getting a lot of international or interstate images that I was pinning myself. So I wasn't seeing anything from my local town. So I think that's why I was probably skeptical of whether it would work. But even after I'm using those keywords, obviously on my Pinterest now, I'm seeing more of my local stuff as well, because it's obviously picking up on that.
And I also think that when you actually just go to Google, well, I know this to be true. When you Google, your town or your area and you ask specifically for, whatever, it could be Conway, Arkansas wedding planner or something. A lot of times those first Google results are a link to a pin on Pinterest. And I think that that's what's so fascinating is Pinterest is actually working with Google. And so you really are getting in front of people, which is incredible, which is what Pinterest was actually designed to do. We're just now actually using it correctly. Listen, you all know I tell it straight. So here's some brutal honesty. You're losing money and you don't know how to turn things around, right? The past few months have been brutal for a lot of businesses. In seasons like this, it's easy to feel frustrated, lonely, and out of ideas. Let me tell you something. I have so been there. It's hard. And it's not all your fault. The way you've been taught to do business is no longer working. Let me repeat that so it really sinks in. The way you've been taught to do business is no longer working. But don't worry. I've created a training to tell you exactly what to do when you're losing money and how to create a plan to connect with clients and get your stuff sold, whether stores, events, and normal business is shut down or not. This free video training is filler free and laser focused on giving you the tools you need to dig yourself out and create a plan for your business that makes you money. Whether you have a side hustle, a small one-person business, or a huge company with tons of employees and products and services. To sign up for this free training, go to zimmermanpodcast.com/Pinterest training. This is the exact system I use for my business, whether I'm selling wedding planning services, online courses, or my book, Sleeping with a Stranger. Get all my secrets for free at zimmermanpodcast.com/Pinterest training. How would you describe your plan for marketing your business before you took Power of Pinning?
I didn't have much of a plan for marketing my business. I didn't have much of a marketing budget for starters. I was relying very heavily on Instagram, which I still do, but it's nice to be able to share that across now to Pinterest and to have them work together. So my Instagram post automatically goes straight to my Pinterest now, and it has its own board, so which means I'm pinning almost every day just with that.
That's great. Yeah. What about the Power of Pinning made you think that if you bought it, you'd solve some of the problems you were having in your business?
I wanted to definitely make myself more well known. I've been around for 7 years, but I suppose I've only been in people's radar for the last 4 because I haven't bought ads in magazines and done a heap of styled shoots and things like that because I didn't see the value in that. It's a lot of money to do that sort of thing. And I wanted I suppose, the people to come to me organically as well. So I wanted to be known for, my work that I've actually done, not the ad I took out in a magazine. So Pinterest is that's, it's showcasing my work and what I can do. And I just thought that's the perfect platform for me.
Absolutely. What was it like going through the course? Did you have a favorite module? Did you have a moment when you thought, oh, okay, I get why this works?
I liked when we started with the rich pins and our master keyword list. That made so much sense. My master keyword list is ginormous. And I love the analytics, actually. I like being able to go into Pinterest and see, my weekly, whether it's up by 100% and things like that, with my monthly viewers and my impressions and what pins are working, what people are searching, who's saving what. I like that. I like being able to go in and see that. And I had no idea that I could do that on Pinterest.
Yeah. And I think too, just hearing you say that, if I had heard you say that and I've never done this before, I would think, oh, everything you just said sounds really complicated. Analytics, rich pins, reports, I would think, nope, not doing it. Because that's just not the way my brain works. But what I think is so lovely about this program is how simple Catherine has made it. And so it just really is really easy. I remember years and years and years ago, someone asked me one of the things I liked in my business, and I said accounting, which is hysterical because I don't. What I liked was getting the report at the end of the month and seeing what the profit was, what the cost was. I liked kind of seeing the graph, the breakdown. I liked seeing that. I liked knowing that because there's something about, as a business owner, knowing that knowledge that makes us feel more confident, and we can do better work when we know what's actually happening. But actually doing the work to get that report, I hated. And so what I love about the power of pinning is you get to see how easy it is. It really is so simple. That's all those terms sound complicated, but they really aren't.
No, it sounds like it's hard, but it's not. The videos are short and easy. And I love that, I never had to ask a question myself because below someone had already asked it if I had a question to ask Catherine. So, that people had questions on there and she'd responded if anyone had any trouble. It was super simple.
I do love that because I actually get an email anytime any student asks a question on the power of pinning. And I also get an email when Catherine responds to it. And she is quick. I mean, she responds almost immediately. I'm so impressed. She's actually way better with answering the power of pinning than I am sometimes with Business Find the Blooms and Know Your Numbers and a winning website. I do my best and we try to get in there, within 48 hours. But I mean, she is on it. I'm always so impressed. I'm like, man, Catherine, you're making me look bad. But she does. She's explained everything so thoroughly, and it really is good. How long did it take before you started seeing changes in the number of repins and website views and inquiries you were getting?
Surprisingly fast. Not with the inquiries. That took, I suppose, a couple of months, but I saw a difference straight away. And I think because I could see it because I'd switched my account to the business account, so I could see, it was giving me a percentage of how much better I was doing each week. And it was surprising.
That's incredible. Was there a moment after implementing what you learned in Power of Pinning when you thought, wow, this actually works. Like this is really working?
Oh, definitely. I'm just waiting for your next course to come out so I can purchase that one.
Oh, I love it. You're so kind. Have you found that you're connecting more with brides that know your style and value you for being you?
Definitely. I think I've found my style a lot in the last year as well. I'm attracting the brides now that suit my style instead of me trying to, make my style suit them. And I'd like to think that Pinterest has helped with that.
Absolutely. Yes. Do you feel like you're targeting your ideal clients earlier on? Like, do you feel like you're getting almost kind of ahead of the game?
Yes. I mean, COVID's had a bit of a play in the last little bit, I suppose, with brides that wouldn't normally contact me. But before all that, definitely, I'm not having to turn down any brides early because they're not suiting me. They're just they get me and we're clicking, and our styles are similar. So definitely.
Did you watch the webinar that I taught, before selling this, where I kind of showed the example of things on my website that I had pinned. Did you see that by chance?
Yes, yeah.
So one of the things I'm still amazed with is this one particular image that we pinned, and it was, gosh, 3 years ago. And we continue to get inquiries from this one pin. And that's one of the things that amazes me about Pinterest is with with a Facebook ad. And listen, I dabble a little bit in all of it, but with a Facebook ad, it's going to get buried, or I have to really pay a lot of money, to get it up there and to get it seen. With an Instagram post, it's going to get super buried. I mean, 2% of my audience is going to see it, and I just always think it's really fascinating that I pinned something 3 years ago, and it still brings me clients. One pin.
Oh, definitely. I've got things that I'm surprised that people are repinning because it's old.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that I'm like, oh, it's still current. They're still pinning it.
I hope this episode is blowing your mind so far. For years, I hated Pinterest, and I held a grudge for the clients it stole from me when it first came out on the scene. But believe me when I say, Pinterest has earned my forgiveness. Today, I do almost all of my marketing through Pinterest, and I get inquiries from big budget, ideal clients every single week. If you want to start using Pinterest to get leads and money in the bank, you need the power of pinning. Check it out now at thepowerofpinning.com. It's also fascinating because the things that I oftentimes think like, oh, this is a winner, like this is the pin. It's like no one cares. But I'm glad that we pin all of them because there always seems to be something that people gravitate towards that I may not have, but that I'm so glad that we, do that. And that's one of the things that we teach in the power of pinning is trying out different pins so that you can see what your audience, gravitates towards, which I think it's really fascinating. I just love the whole thing. We tried to keep power of pinning simple so that you could actually do everything you need to do without being overwhelmed by strategy. You're already great at your job. You shouldn't have to learn how to be a Pinterest manager, in order to have an incredible Pinterest plan. Did you appreciate the simplicity of the course? What did you love about the format?
I love that it was broken down into short little videos. I have 3 jobs actually. This isn't my only job, and 2 little kids. So the fact that I could just watch the videos in short little bursts if I needed to was great, instead of having to pause sort of a longer video and then have to come back to it or remember where I was at. So when I logged back in, I was straight into where I'd left off.
Yeah, I love that too. It can be annoying when you're going through a program and the module is like days long for you to finish. That's what I love about it is you can just knock it out quickly. You could do one module a day and knock it out, or you can, knock it out in a couple of days if you wanted to, the whole thing. So you can really kind of go at your own pace. If you had one piece of advice for someone thinking about buying the power of pinning, what would it be?
I think it works for any business. That's the thing. It's not just for florists and wedding and event stylists and things like that. It literally could work for any business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The first year that we brought it out, we made it, the power of pinning for wedding professionals. Now it is just the power of pinning. We've kind of revamped it to where it works with any business, because we had people from other businesses buying the program and letting us know that, saying, "Hey, this works for my business and I'm a hairstylist. Hey, this works for my business and I sell enamel pins online through Etsy. Like this worked for my business and I'm an artist." It was just incredible to get that feedback. And so we have revamped it to where it is the power of pinning for everyone. And so I'm excited about that. And I love hearing you say that you really feel like it could work for any business.
Oh, definitely. We've recently started a new business hiring out lawn games. So we're going to create a Pinterest page for this new business, and we'll definitely be implementing all the things we learned from power of pinning with the new business.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Jessica, so here's my last question. If you had Oprah money, so you had billions of dollars and you had to spend it on yourself, what would you buy?
I love that. If it was on myself and I was being completely selfish, I would have a personal chef. Not that I'm a bad cook. I just, I have my 10 little items and I don't stray very far from that. So yeah, that would be amazing.
You'd get so much time back, which would
I'd
be
get so much
lovely.
time back. And then, you're not having to slave over the stove cooking something your children don't end up eating.
Exactly. Oh, I hear you there. I totally hear you there. I feel like I don't ever want to be a short order cook, but even this morning for breakfast, I mean, everyone wanted something different. And it's like, well, you want your kids to eat, and so, oh yeah, I hear you. I feel that. So I can't thank you enough for being on here and just letting us, hear your experience with the power of pinning and everything. Do you feel like business has grown since implementing the program?
Oh, definitely. It's made a huge effect, and it's been great that I can see it as well.
That's so good. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for being a guest and for sharing your experience with everyone.
Thank you.
I love what Jessica shared today. It's amazing, but not surprising, that Jessica is getting more inquiries from better clients who don't just love her work, but already have her work pinned as inspiration before they even meet with her. The power of pinning is simple, it's accessible, and filled with tons of support to help jumpstart your Pinterest journey. And in the words of Jessica, it can literally work for any business, which is why this year's Power of Pinning is revamped and reformatted to provide a simplified plan for Pinterest for any business. Want to learn more? Go to zimmermanpodcast.com/Pinterest. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/Pinterest. Okay, guys, I'll see you right back here next week on Zimmerman Podcast.
If you loved what you heard today, even if you liked it a lot, you should subscribe and leave a review. We'll see you back here next time in the Zimmerman Podcast.